Hi, I'm Ken Shorley. I'm back with another video. This one is focusing on Solkattu, the South Indian art of spoken rhythm, but this is a pronunciation guide. There are certain things which are very clear when you start reading Solkattu patterns when they're written out, but other things maybe not so clear. So I hope this video will help to clarify some of the pronunciation. Let's start with a basic 2-beat pattern. Taka. It's very simple. Ta-ka. But the ta has a certain method that it's usually spoken, that's usually pronounced. And that is called a dental, the linguists would call this. It's a dental sound, meaning that you put the tongue just behind the top teeth, ta, and then you release it, the sound goes forward, ta, ta. Sometimes you'll see ta transliterated T-H-A when it's written in English, and sometimes just T-A. So the T-H-A gives you some hint that it's not a sharp ta, t, t. It's ta, ta. It's still a warm sound, but it is the more forward version of ta. So ta-ka, ta-ka. The other thing about ta, and many of these phrases start with the syllable ta, the a is a. It's not like the American a. So it's not ta, taka, taka, okay? It is ta, so it's an a. It's usually short. It's also not like a chant. It's not ta. So when you're reciting Solkattu, it's very important to remember this is a drum language. It's meant to imitate the percussive sounds of striking the mridangam. So ta, tum, din, kitataka, dit, dit, taun, kitataka, tum. Everything should be short and percussive. Some of the syllables, tum, din, are more sustained, but try not to chant. It's not ta, ta, din, din, ta, ta, okay? It's ta, tum, tum. Let's look at the common pattern for 3. Takita. Now you see there's a ta at the beginning, there's a ta at the end. These are not the same ta. They're 2 different types. The first one is that dental ta. Then ki. The last ta is what's called, linguists anyways would call this a retroflex, meaning that the tongue is curled back when you speak it. Ta, 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 ta. So when you start rolling a series of takitas, takita, 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 you can hear the difference. The first one projects forward, ta, dental. The last one is more towards the back of the mouth. Tongue is curled back, ta, takita, takita, takita. So dental, retroflex. Takita, takita, takita. They're not the same ta, so it's not takita, 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 which is very difficult to do. Takita, 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 ta. Okay, patterns of 4, there are lots of them. Let's look at this one. Takadimi, takadimi. This particular one, when I hear my teacher, and this is all from my great teacher, Professor Trichy Shankran, thank you, sir. When I hear him recite this pattern, he often modulates the dimi to reflect the quality of the mridangam, where you can modulate the bass pitch. You can sort of bend the pitch. And so when Shankran sir does takadimi, it's often dimi, takadimi, 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 takadimi. So the dimi, it's not chanted takadimi, takadimi, all on one tone, or in a robotic sense, takadimi, takadimi, takadimi. The idea is that you are imitating the sound of the drum, and the drummers themselves are trying to make the drum speak as much like a voice as possible. Takadimi, 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 takadimi. You'll hear that modulation. Another very common one is the phrase kitataka. And kitataka has both of the ta's back to back. Kita, retroflex, taka. Ta is dental. So kitataka. Kitataka, 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 kitataka. This is a tricky one. When I share this one with my students at Acadia University, I teach a world drumming class there. By the end of the term, some of them are saying tiki-taka, tiki-taka. Maybe just because so many of the patterns start with a ta. So they get used to initiating a ta, as opposed to kitataka, where the ta is in the middle. Kitataka, kitataka, kitataka. Kitataka din, kitataka tum, kitataka tum, kitataka tum. Not tikataka, tikataka. No. Another option for a 4-pulse pattern is takajonu. And this also has that bass modulation when it's recited. Takajonu, jonu, jonu. I'm exaggerating it a little bit. takajonu, takajonu, takajonu. But when you hear the phrase, for instance, takadimi, takajonu, takadimi, takajonu, takadimi, takajonu, takadimi, there's a clear distinction between the high, ta, and the dip, when it goes to dimi and it comes back up, and takajonu, takadimi, takajonu, takadimi. You don't have to overdo it, but listen for that because it will make it sound more like the mridangam. All right, just a point about Solkattu. If you are already familiar with the North Indian system of syllables, which are called bols, they are related to the sounds from the Hindi language. That's why you get all those beautiful aspirated dha, dihin, dihin, because Hindi contains those sounds. Solkattu, which is from Carnatic drumming of South India, the syllables are derived from the Tamil language, and that does not contain those aspirated syllables. So that's why you'll get ta and din, but not din, dha, dha. If you hear that sound, those dhas and dins, when you're listening to a recording of someone speaking drum syllables, they're probably from the North Indian tradition. Okay, let's look at a 5. One of the most common 5s is ta, din, gi, na, tum. Now I'm writing it out here the way I learned it from my teacher. Ta, din, gi, na, tum. I've also seen other books and other videos where they say ta di kitatum, ta di kitatum. Okay, I learned ta din gi na tum. So that's the one that is most familiar to me. Ta, din, din, not din. Sometimes you'll see din and din, ta din. If a din is extended, ta din gi na tum, ta din, it becomes more like di, din, ta din. But typically, ta din gi na tum, ta din gi na tum. And the tum is very crucial. Tum is the bass stroke on the mridangam, and it's transliterated often T-O-M or T-H-O-M. I mean, T-O-M looks like Tom, but it's not Tom in English. Tum, tum. And this is where you need to really feel the resonance in your belly, in your chest. Tum, 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 tum. So it's not all from here. Tum, 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 tum. Try to deepen it. Tum, tum. Likewise, din, din, as opposed to din, din, din. Ta din gi na tum. Ta din gi na tum. Ta din gi na tum. Okay, some other syllables you may find for a 5-pulse Solkattu phrase. You could combine a 2 and a 3. The taka and the takita. Taka, takita, taka, takita, taka, takita, taka, takita. And typically when that phrase is written, you're meant to emphasize the groupings in it, rather than ta din gi na tum, ta din gi na tum, ta din, which just accents the beginning of the group of 5. Taka takita, taka takita, taka takita. You can hear it going 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 taka takita, or takita dimi, takita dimi, takita dimi, or taka tadimi, taka tadimi, taka. Okay, you can hear the groupings within the 5. Some other syllables you may encounter as you get into longer phrases are like this. This one is in 9 beats. Takadiku tadinginatum. Takadiku. Ku. Takadiku tadinginatum. Takadiku tadinginatum. Takadiku tadinginatum. Takadimi takajono. Takita takajono. Takatakajono. Tatakajono. There are gajillions of other syllables, and as you listen to it more, you can develop your vocabulary. But this, I hope, will be a good start to get you pronouncing Solkattu. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I hope you do. You can also join the channel for $5 a month if you're interested in supporting the work that I'm doing here. Please come back and join me again for more videos about rhythm, drumming, and percussion.